Max, we may be a day late, but please hit that air raid siren. Time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, of course, when we overreact to the football weekend, and what a football weekend it was to overreact to. Let's start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, big school settling and small school calamity. So, in the bi-district round of the Texas high school football playoffs, we had a lot of big-time movement, like seismic shifts, at the big school level. Cedar Hill going down, Temple going down, a few more that kind of make you cock an eyebrow and go, wow, okay, what's going on? If you look across overall the playoffs in the area round, it was pretty much not entirely chalky, but a lot of chalk in the area round for the big schools. 6A and 5A, a lot of the favorites kind of rose to the top. There are some examples. I think that Amarillo-Tascosa beating Arlington is certainly qualifies as something that we didn't necessarily see coming. I'm really struggling to come up with any more.
I think for the most part, our Region 1 and
Beaumont Westbrook
6A Division 2, our Region 1's pretty. All of our predictions are pretty shot.
So. Beaumont Westbrook getting revenge on Strake Jesuit.
Sure.
I don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of us, like I did not.
That was pretty divided.
I picked Strake. I think some other people picked them, but there's that. I mean, Steele going down to Brandeis, but Brandeis is a really good team.
It's a down year for Steele too.
Yeah, a bit of a down year for Steele. I don't know. Lufkin losing to Lone Star probably is
your biggest school.
Is your biggest big school stunner, right? That's probably the only one that makes you go, whoa. But in the small school ranks is where we saw a lot of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that Decatur's win was a surprise. Remember, this is a Decatur team that entered the playoffs at 4-6, and they're now through to the regional semifinals. That's in 4A. I was really impressed with Van getting a win over Splendora, because Van, I knew, was on their backup quarterback, but they came out and really showed me something. I thought that was incredibly impressive for the Vandals to come out and do that. Iowa Park keeps on rolling. Another team that I think we thought, okay, nice team, good job getting in the playoffs. Now it's kind of time for you guys to go away. I think that was a surprise. Malakoff's a big one.
Yeah.
Malakoff's a team that beating Jefferson. Jefferson was my 3A D1 title pick.
I think they were mine too.
That one was really, really surprising.
I had them in the finals. Yeah.
Yeah. We were all very high on Jefferson. That was an unbeaten Jefferson team. I think Holiday over Clifton probably qualifies. Now, I think Holiday's a really good team, but Clifton was undefeated, and I think a real sexy pick to make a deep run. They go down. Overall, that's kind of the story, is that if you were looking for, and we'll talk with the coach of the Spearman Lynx, Aaron Witten, coming up here in just a moment, if you were looking for chaos, you had to look at the small school ranks to find it. There were some near misses, but overall, you saw a lot more of the chaos at the small school ranks than you did the big school ranks. That's thought number 1. Thought number 2, vintage season. And I'm thinking specifically about college football here. Go back, won't you, to, I don't know, the halcyon days of like 10 years ago.
Let's get in the Texas Football Today time machine.
Yes. And you would normally count on the top 2 teams in the state being Texas and A&M, right? And then there would be 1, maybe 2 other teams having real great years.
Yeah.
Oh, you're having a great year. Hey, Houston had a great TCU. Good job for TCU. Maybe North Texas would up and have a great year or something like that. That's generally, maybe it was the year Rice would have really put together, have a great year. UTEP would maybe make a bowl, things like that. But that was kind of the norm throughout most of the 90s and 2000s. It was A&M in Texas, a couple other teams that are having, like, not uncharacteristic, but nice years for them, and then kind of everybody else.
Right.
That's kind of where we settled on this year, is you've got Texas, who's playing for a Big 12 championship. You've got A&M, who is looking, now they're probably the joys of playing the SEC West. You're probably the 3rd or 4th best team in your own division, but you are right there in the mix of being one of the top teams in the state. And then you've got a couple teams that are having nice years. North Texas is having a nice year. Houston is having a nice year, although I think, albeit a little bit disappointing, I think, compared to where they thought they could be.
Right.
Nice years here and there, right? But then it's just kind of everybody else. To me, this is the more I've thought about it, the more this feels like a vintage season, a season from 15 years ago as opposed to one that we'd see in 2018. And I don't know if this is a return to form. I don't know if this is the way it's going to be from now on, but that's what it feels like in 2018. And finally, extra time. So a weird thing happened in the Texas high school football playoffs this weekend is everyone went to overtime. Like everyone. There were 176 UIL Texas high school football games this weekend. And there were 10 overtime games. There was a moment on Saturday, I don't think they were going on simultaneously, but within an hour, there were 3 games that went to overtime on Saturday. Now you're saying, well, 10 out of 176, that seems kind of normal. Consider this. The week before, there were 352 games, okay? Twice as many games, and yet there were only 8 overtime games. We had 2 3-overtime games, San Bernardino and PSJ North and Mansfield, Lake Ridge, and Denton Geyer. We had 3 more double overtime games, Klein Oak and Round Rock, Vandergrift and Klein Collins, Sherilyn and Brenham. Those all went to double overtime. It was a wild week for wild finishes in the Texas high school football playoffs. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker for Aledo running back Jace McClellan. I was at this game. This was my first time I've seen Aledo in person. And so Jace McClellan runs for 308 yards and 4 touchdowns. And that's great. And he deserves a helmet sticker. Helmet sticker for you. That's the way this works. The helmet sticker probably deserves the Aledo offensive line. Their offensive line is a college offensive line. It is staggering how big and physical they are. And to the point that, like, I had my questions about Aledo, and I'm not entirely sold on them 100% now, but I do believe that they are. I mean, that offensive line is going to keep on chugging. They've got Jace McClellan. He goes for 308 yards and 4 touchdowns in their win over Lovejoy. Rice running back Juma Ottaviano, the pride of Arlington Martin, in a entirely meaningless game. Rice decides to dust off the Juma machine and let him go. And he runs for 183 yards or something like that. He was sensational in this game, guiding Rice to a really surprising win over Old Dominion. Juma Ottaviano gets a helmet sticker. And Brownsville Hannah running back Cesar Mancias ran for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns on 25 carries. That's a cool 10 yards per carry in Hannah's big win last week. So those are 3 helmet stickers. 3 teams to watch. Mesquite Horn, keep on chugging. They keep on chugging. They get Westfield this week. That'll certainly be a challenge for them. But right now, you doubt them at their own peril. I feel like Horn is a team that, sometimes confidence can be all you need. And right now, that's a team that's got to be brimming with confidence. They can play it with anybody.
Ezekiel asked, what's the worst team to ever win a state title? Because Horn's going for a 9-7 record right now.
I don't think we've ever had a 9-7 record.
I don't think so.
I think we've had 5 lost teams win titles, though.
Yeah.
But Horn, I know we've been banging this drum, but like we talked about when they were 0-7, it's like this is the greatest 0-7 team of all time.
And here they are.
And here they are in a regional semifinal. Mary Hardin Baylor just keep on crushing people.
Oh my God!
Jeez.
75-9, I think
in a playoff game, guys.
In a playoff game.
A playoff game.
Only been held. Their point differentials have only been held under 30 twice.
Yeah.
Both times, Hardin Simmons.
Yeah. They are crushing people. Keep an eye on them. And keep an eye on Malakoff. We mentioned them off the top, but Malakoff gets the win over Jefferson, and another team that entered the season as kind of an also ran in 3A Division I. But from what we understand, their losses earlier this year came without their top 2 running backs. They're 100% healthy right now, and that makes them very, very dangerous. Malakoff draws Gladewater this week. And I'll tell you, if they beat Gladewater at Tyler Rose Stadium, I'm ready to buy in. Absolutely. Those 3 teams to watch. 3 to see, Katy North Shore.
Part 2.
It's the rematch. This one going down 7 o'clock Friday night at NRG. I don't need to tell you why this is awesome. I will just say this. Our computer rankings are coming up after the game. Or after the show, rather.
Did it blow up when you typed in this?
This is not just a matchup of the number 1 and number 2 team in 6A. This is a matchup of the number 1 and number 2 teams in the state, according to the computers. So this is like if you could craft, if the idea is a state championship where the top 2 teams go at it, here is what the computer thinks is the state championship game. There's that. Texas and Oklahoma go at it 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Part 2.
Part 2. It's rematch season. So Texas and Oklahoma for the Big 12 title. That's one to see. And finally, Midlothian Heritage and Carthage.
Part one.
7:30 p.m. Friday night at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Is Carthage for real? We think they are. We'll find out.
It's a safe bet.
Heritage is going to test them.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be an interesting game. Those are 3 to see, and that is Monday Morning Fallout.